Good morning, everybody out there in YouTube land. I wanted to put up a video. I've noticed I've been going through a lot of the comments. Been getting a lot of feedback about my white privilege video. I wanted to do a bit of a follow-up about that. And I know to those of you liberals who like to create some sort of a victim so you can feel good about yourself, to run to the rescue and get that quick Facebook selfie so you look good to your friends, but you're phony and you know it. You just, what they call a virtue signaler. Since I've moved to Kentucky, I've been here almost 2 years now, and I've been researching a lot of popular Southern stereotypes, and I'm sorry, guys. Well, I'm not sorry, because I'm here to tell you some truth. And according to a lot of the comments on my video on the subject, it substantiates my claim. Although you always have a few mentally ill people who just want to bitch and moan about something. But Kentucky is not a racist state. All right? Let that kind of... All right? Obviously, I bet you it's going to be overwhelmingly a white female response to this, because they're the ones that seem to be the most mentally ill of those who leave the feedback. Although I have spoke to a few people, I mean more than a few people, and some of these communities are not very open to talking about things, so you have to initiate conversation in a different way. And unfortunately, I had to start conversations that would make Hillary Clinton proud, and I'd drop in bombs like crazy just to see how these people would respond. And I'll tell you, it's my experience, man, that it makes people uncomfortable. And I've never heard anybody down here even use that word, aside from somebody who was repeating a joke that I told. And it was hilarious, but it's okay. I'm talking about Obama after what he'd done to East Kentucky. I've spent a lot of time here, man, and I've seen a lot of this part of the country that has been reduced to what amounts to a third world country. And all you ever hear about up north and across the country is how much privilege these people have down here. But my experience down here, all right, now has been very different. Now, I'm not saying that Kentucky isn't backwards in its own way, because I can tell you that if you come down here from up north, people from the city, if you want to move to Kentucky, I mean, come on down, man. It's not that bad. However, there are some things that you do have to realize about it. And it seems like, because my people come from East Tennessee, and they're not like this. But a lot of these people down here in Kentucky, they're all in the name of Jesus until they come home from Sunday school and park in your driveway. Then they'll cuss you out when you ask them, what are you doing? You know what I mean? They're very weird about property boundaries here. They'll often try to claim parts of your property and your livestock, and it's just the craziest thing. You know, like this nut job over here that I got living across it. Well, he don't live across the driveway. He owns the place. I have not witnessed any shred. And I've talked to plenty of black people down here. I mean, there's not many, okay? And that's why there's not so much crime here, because diversity and inclusion, okay, equals crime and violence. Statistically, black folks are a lot higher. What is it? 13% of the population, although I would say 25 easy, and responsible for almost 60% of the violent crimes nationwide, mostly amongst themselves, mind you. But down here, I've talked to a few people, and to those few who told me that they actually experienced racism, when I asked them to, I said, you know, can you tell me what you experienced? They either shut the conversation right down by saying F you, or they describe a bad day, you know, like being black somehow makes you immune to having a bad day. I mean, I would argue that maybe your day might be a little bit better, some of you, and you know who I'm talking to, if you learn how to behave at a traffic stop. But what I noticed, though, is the black folks in the country, here, it's a different way of life. So, you know, you have to work to make a living, okay? Unless you're doing, you know, property investment like me, you know, it kind of limits you to a budget. But either way, you know, I'm scraping by until I get that homestead that I'm looking to lock down. This place is only temporary, but it's going very well. Uh, City folks, all right, when you come down here, as soon as a lot of these people hear you articulate a sentence, they're going to right away ask you, where are you from? And a lot of people get a lot less friendly to you. It doesn't matter if you're white and you move to an all-white town. Man, these people, they're very what they call familial. You know what I mean? They're about family and roots and, you know, kinship. And if you're not one of them, if you don't share a family name or whatever, man, they will freeze you out. And I'm talking some of these small mountain communities, well, they'll even prevent you from getting a job, you know, because you're not from around here. And then they'll call you lazy because you don't want to work. I have not experienced anything in any way, shape, or form. As a matter of fact, I'd say people down here in the South are a little too welcoming to outside culture and diversity. And if black people, if you want to move to Kentucky, man, come on down. You know what I mean? You'll get a job just because, you know, this liberal indoctrination of white guilt, these people will trip all over themselves, man. I've been on construction crews where they'll work you a 12 to 14-hour shift and not give you a lunch break, but you're going to have a black crew working over there, and they get regular lunch breaks, man, every day at 12 o'clock. So I don't even want to hear it, you know. Your chances of getting by down here is a lot better, you know, than most places. And I mean, really, I left Chicago and just look at the news, you know what I mean? And it's not the white man responsible for your neighborhood, it's your terrible behavior. But to those of you more civilized people, I mean, you know, you can go a long way down here, man. Don't let anybody convince you, all right, that the South is racist, okay? There are people down here with opinions, okay? But it's okay, you know, because they're like buttholes. Everybody has them. But nobody treats you different down here because of that. It's most likely going to be because you're not from around here. It's not going to be because of the color of your skin. I've seen so many people down here, you know, practically starving, okay? These people, they have more important concerns to deal with on a day-to-day basis than something as stupid as the color of their neighbor's skin. And one thing that I think is kind of disappointing, I will say, about the South is I think that they're a little too quick to give up on their own culture. Because you see a lot of people down here, man, they'll wear, you know, obviously white guys or, you know, good old boys with, you know, camo or camouflage pants or skinny jeans hanging down off their butt and cowboy boots. I don't know why neck and face tattoos is such a thing down here, man. Talk about, you know, there's somebody right there that's prone to making terrible decisions. So if you're one of those and you're saying I can't get a job because you're a racist and you got your pants hanging down off your butt and you've got tattoos all over your neck and face, well, that's probably why. But, you know, this has been not what I expected. I mean, I expected this because really I passed through here on my way to Tennessee, and we have black people in the family, you know, and it's never been an issue. But it's funny because mama, you know, she's always saying, you know, whenever I've got a cousin that does this. She's got a biracial kid or a mulatto. And anytime he comes home from school and has a bad day, she's saying, that's because they're racist. She puts it into his head. It seems to be white women overwhelmingly that like to cling to this false idea of racism and white supremacy. No, they're racist, man. Racism is not even a real word. It's something that was created by politicians and other people to line their pockets, to keep people emotional, and then they maintain that boil so they can get that vote whenever they need it. But it never changes, does it, when you vote for them? You know, when I grew up, you know, blacks and whites and Mexicans, we all got along, man. Everybody had goals. They were going to go into the military or become police officers or whatever. And then suddenly victimhood became fad. And now there's currency in it. So, you know, you want to talk about reparations? Where's my reparations? You know, there were Irish slaves. As a matter of fact, there was a white woman that got her reparations. A lady fired from Starbucks for those two black guys that came in acting like animals. And when she asked them to leave because they weren't buying anything, she got fired. She got a few million out of that settlement, and it's about doggone time that white people started getting their reparations. Now, it's hard to be a white man in America today. Uh, this whole idea is nothing more than a feeling about a thought. I look at the comment section on that video and I see people. One guy comments, he says, well, do they hunt black people for sport down there? Man, nobody hunts black people for sport. And then he brings up George Floyd. And I said, okay, well, George Floyd was a thug and he was a victim of bad parenting. All right. The man was a repeat violent offender. And man, I mean, it was hard to watch for me when I saw it go down because I thought, oh crap, this is going to start a riot because the media loves that stuff. And it's all about ratings. Kentucky's a beautiful state, man. You know, sometimes depending on the part that you move to, the meth heads can be the friendliest part of it. That's why I highly encourage those of you that want to leave those prison cities to look for the unrestricted outskirts of higher populated areas. You have more competition, which creates lower prices on things. And that place up there in Breathitt, in the town of Jackson, almost $10 for a jar of mayo. Get out of here, man. Most of the what do you call? What's the average median income for those areas? About 20 to 23,000 a year. What do you expect, man? Because I know if you're going to come down here like I did, you're going to end up probably coming across a project that's going to need some financing. You're going to want to pick up maybe a part-time job to cover some expenses or whatever. And these people, they're going to do just like what they did with my wife. Our first day in Breathitt County, she walks in, right? And she uses as much of her white privilege as she can. And she says, hi, saw you had a help wanted sign out. This is at VP on Route 15, right there in Jackson. And this lady just stares at her for a minute. And she says, because they do that a lot down there. I don't know what it is about these far out mountain communities where you ask them a question and they'll go, before they answer. If they answer, you never know. And then she says, we ain't hollering anymore. And then went out and pulled up the sign. So I looked at my wife and I said, okay, well, you know, we'll just look for somewhere else. I mean, you know, our communication skills are pretty good. I don't see how that couldn't be an asset to some business. You know, because a lot of these people, they can't even complete a sentence. You're just struggling to hear them. I had a lady go to ring me up and she goes, Dockland. And I'm like, And she goes, Dockland. I'm sorry, I have tinnitus. Can you repeat that? She goes, Dockland. I'm like, oh, fishing around in my pocket for my glasses now because I figure I'm just going to be in and out, pay for some gas and go. Oh, chip malfunction. She was saying the card was declined. Man, you know what I mean? That's the type of stuff you're going to have to deal with, and it can weigh on you, you know? But I mean, that place was just a hellhole, and I would highly encourage anybody, before you come down here, man, research the town, look at its history. I cover that in my book. I'm going to continue writing that until I finally land on that homestead, and then I'm documenting every step of the way, everything I went through that got me there and what I experienced in all these small towns. And I'm going to lay out how to spot those towns you want to avoid just by looking on a map. All right. Yeah, it's very easy, but there's things there that I need to unpack so you could better understand where I'm going. But, man, Kentucky, not racist. Southern culture, these guys are too quick to give it up, man. I had to go to Lexington to buy a decent cowboy hat, but most of these parts, you can go to Tractor Supply and get some pink plastic one that's basically just a novelty. And, you know, you go to Walmart and they got Tupac shirts and all that. I don't see any country anything, you know. Tennessee's at least proud of their heritage, and so am I. And I fly the Confederate flag, man, because there's nothing wrong with it. So white people, there's nothing wrong. There's no shame in being white. It's okay to be white. It's okay to be straight. And it's okay to have an opinion. That is what love is when you're sharing truth. Truth isn't about feelings. It doesn't care about that. Truth is often uncomfortable. And truth is what people need. You're not going to change the way people think, but if you could plant that seed, just walk away, you know. But anyway, that about does it for this video. I had that on my mind, man, and I had to put something up, and I know this is probably going to get taken down, or I'm going to have some fat white woman, flag it, because that's often who it is. Anytime I hear it, get any kind of flack over any of my questions or whatever, it's those single parent mothers with that car seat in the back, and you never see a man anywhere around, and there's a reason for that, ladies. Not all of you, but a lot of you. So until the next video, this is Lonnie at the Justice Appalachian Homestead, and we will holler at you later.